Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Splitgate update. My name is Jesse Griffin, and I'm the Live Ops Project Coordinator here at 1047 Games. I'm, of course, joined by Derek Jones, our lead game designer, and Josh Watson, our design director. We're really excited to share that our next playtest is going to be this Friday and Saturday, September 26th and 27th. This Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Derek, before we go ahead and get started on what's new for this playtest, can you give us a breakdown on what we learned from the last playtest?
Yeah, so we had three big changes in the last playtest. There was the time to kill and recoil adjustments that we made. We had three new game modes that we were testing, and then one of the biggest changes, of course, was the removal of factions and abilities. These playtests are good to show the community what we think is working internally, but really we want to hear from you guys. The time to kill changes are a great example of that, where we felt good about where we were moving, but we weren't quite sure what everyone would think. Got it in your hands, and now we feel a lot better about the direction we were moving, but we weren't quite there. So some assault rifles especially were feeling too weak compared to other weapons, and then we made several other tweaks to get the sandbox feeling more consistent.
Thanks so much for that insight, Derek. Josh, with the last playtest discussed a little bit, give a player a heads up on what we've learned, what we checked, what we took a look at. Can you kick us off with some of the specifics for this upcoming playtest?
For sure. For the September playtest, in addition to some of the changes that Derek alluded to, we're going to be focusing sort of solely on the ways that our players engage with portals. So portals, obviously, being the heart of Splitgate. When we started to work towards relaunch, we had the opportunity to just take a step back and look at portals and try to understand what is the place that the portal system and our portal should have in our sandbox, and what are the things that it should allow a player to do, and what should they not allow players to do, and how does all of that relate to the fundamental design of arena gameplay. And so obviously when we look at portals, we know they elevate movement and strategy, and when they're at their best, they sort of reward creative thinking and creative plays, and they sort of enable these like outplays that you can only really find in Splitgate. But the challenge with portals is when they become the sort of optimal answer to every question. So like, what is the best way for me to win a fight? Well, I should portal. And what's the best way to reach a power position, for instance? Portal. And it also allows for players, if you put yourself in a bad position or you overextend, you can just portal. And so when portaling starts to replace all traversal, and the optimal strategy for every gunfight means flanking or using a portal to initiate the fight, the fundamentals of arena combat, like map control or strong positioning or just straight up gun skill, start to fall away a bit. And so you're left with these like fewer meaningful ways to engage in actual gunfights. So in the upcoming playtest, we're testing an experimental charge-based system for portals. And we know this one's going to be controversial, so I want to assure everyone that this is an early test and no final decisions have been made on this system. But in our early testing, we've really liked how it's changed the pace of the game. So please come into the test with an open mind and tell us how you feel about it. Players will have a limited set of charges, and once the first is used, all the charges will refresh together on a short delay. So you can still pull off things like triple portaling into zone, but once those charges are gone, you'll have limited options for escape until they all refresh. And so that means that the big plays are still possible, but you'll have to think carefully about when it's worth spending everything at once. And I know a lot of players are going to hear this, and there's going to be a knee-jerk response to this concept. So I want to be clear. Our goal is not to kill high skill expression or undermine skills like triple portaling. We think those are paramount to skill mastery in our game. For us, it's really about making sure that portals remain an extremely powerful tool without them becoming the only answer, right? And so by adding this cost and pacing, we can keep those sort of high skill, high IQ moments while bringing back the fundamentals around arena combat.
You touched on the knee-jerk reaction, and I'll chime in and just say, as a Splitgate 1 player, came from the Splitgate 1 community, I've always loved portals. So I was super skeptical about any kind of changes to that and any kind of limiting of portals. As we've tested and iterated, I think we've gotten to a pretty good place where I feel good about showing this to everybody in the community and getting feedback from y'all.
This sounds like it can be a pretty big change to the core gameplay itself. What specifics will players experience? How many portal charges will there be? We make any adjustments to loadouts or perks or anything like that to revolve around this portal charge?
We recognize this would be a major change if we made it, right? It would have big impacts on the way that players play the game. And so, I think Derek mentioned it, like in our testing, we've seen that it takes a little bit to get used to, you know what I mean? Like it takes a few games to wrap your head around how you should alter your play style to make the most of this sort of system. And so I just want to reiterate, this isn't a change that we would take lightly, which is why this is the focus of the entire playtest. We really hope players will jump in, give it an opportunity to really focus on it and see how it affects your gameplay, and let us know what's working and doesn't work, right? To answer your question in terms of specifics, I have some notes. Let me see. The exact way that it's going to work in the playtest is every player will have 4 portal charges by default, and they can use those portals whenever they want. And then after a portal is placed, there's an 8-second delay before all of those players' charges are refreshed. And so the idea here is that it keeps those explosive plays, but introduces some pacing and some trade-offs to make the portal use a bit more strategic. And then you mentioned perks. And so in addition to the default charges, we're going to be showing off some experimental new perks that let players lean into portal mastery if they choose, right? Like if that's the play style that's important to you, we want to let you spec into that. And so I think we have 2 portal based perks that you'll see in the playtest. There's one more portal, which gives you an extra portal charge, and it opens up the ability to do things like triple portal while still giving you an opportunity to open 2 more portals within that window. And then there's also portal refresh, which is lowers your recharge timer by 2 seconds on every kill. So it allows you to be really aggressive and get your portals back. And so like the perks are basically there to create these interesting decisions around your particular play style. Like, do you invest in portals, or do you want to give up that slot for something like melee or movement or, other equipment that you think is important to the way that you perform?
I had a really good time when we were internally playtesting in regards to how I wanted to balance my perks. So having 3 for the loadouts now, since we're factionless, feels really good trying to find a good balance there. So I'm excited to see what players end up coming up with when they playtest for the first time. For me, I thought the learning curve, it was there for the portal charges. I'm a longtime Splitgate player, longtime Splitgate fan, but having to play with one sort of like, I kept it in my back pocket at all times for a quick escape or a quick burst. So changing up how and when I portaled, it felt different. It felt good. I liked the approach that we took with it so far. So I'm really excited to see what the players think come the playtest. Lastly, I know obviously that the September playtest is all about portal charges. Is there anything else you guys want to mention that is coming down this pipeline at a later date?
Both of you touched on, we wanted this playtest to really be focused on the portal charges mechanic, to give it its own conversation and have focused feedback around that. We've previously promised that we're going to return with an experience that delivers on the promises of Splitgate 1. And as part of that promise, we've got new modes coming, we've got maybe old maps coming back, and I'm super excited for everybody to get their hands on that. We don't have a specific date for that playtest yet, but it'll be within 2 weeks of this playtest. So right around the corner, we'll have more to playtest there, and I'm excited for everybody to get their hands on it.
As we come to a close, I wanted to thank not only, of course, the viewers for their time, taking the time out of their days to watch the video, but also, of course, to you, Derek and Josh, not only for your time here, but the work behind the scenes. And we can't wait to see what the community thinks when they check out the portal recharge system for the first time. Of course, with that in mind, there will be a survey for players to fill out. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your feedback. So, of course, there'll be a survey that's posted towards the end of the playtest. So, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are on Twitter, on Reddit, on our Discord. We do have a lot of social media. Links to that are all down below, and we want you to get involved. But with that, thank you all so much for your time. Derek, Josh, once again, thank you both, and have a great day, and we'll see you this Friday.